Hi Steph, so here's a video for you. I hope it helps. It's been so long since we've talked about it that I hope I'm remembering correctly what we were going to talk about in the first place, which I think was doing a base color with a balayage highlight. So if it wasn't, let me know and I will do another video for you. Quick one. But anyways, there's a couple different ways that I like to do that. And sometimes it just depends on the hair. Sometimes it depends on maybe like how light or dark your highlight wants to be. But anyways, a couple different ways that you can do it. You could go through and do a complete root retouch, let it process, rinse it out, dry it, and then go ahead and highlight it. Usually the only time I'm going to do that is if somebody comes in and they've got, you know, like excessive regrowth that I need to fix, or if I'm going maybe more than like 3 to 4 shades lighter with their highlight than their base color is. It's not that you can't do that, it's just that that's really time consuming, so that's why I don't normally go that route. But also with some of the young stylists that I've worked with over the years, I've also told them too that if you're uncomfortable working, I guess, quote, wet on wet, then just do it that way. Go ahead and process out your base color, you know, rinse it, blow dry it, and come back and balayage it. But for time's sake, there's 2 other ways that you can do it, which is how I normally do it. Which one would be to go ahead and apply your root color all the way through. Usually when I do that, I'm going to start in the front with my root color, most of the time anyways, just to make sure you get complete gray coverage. Work my way back, and then I'm going to wait until the color processes to where it's kind of, you know, it gets that kind of crusty feel to it. So once the color is processed to the point of where it's not really wet, but then it's, you know, kind of like crusted over a little bit, then I'll go ahead and paint over top of that. Another way that you can do it, which is the way that I'm going to show you, is what I guess I would call wet on wet, which is going section by section, doing your highlight and your color all at the same time. As far as picking between the two, the first one, where you'd go through and do your root retouch first, let it process for usually about 10 minutes. Most color lines will kind of crust over in about 10 minutes and go back through. I'm usually going to do that if I'm not going more than a couple shades lighter, again, because I'm placing a lightener over top of a color, or if I have excessive gray that I need to cover. If I have excessive gray, then I want to make sure that I've gotten that root color over everything, that it's hit every spot of it before I go and highlight. But if I don't have excessive gray color, but that I want to go quite a bit lighter with my highlight and I don't want to risk it brassing out too much, then I'm going to go ahead and do the highlight and the base color at the same time. So anytime you balayage, it's so important that you section everything properly. So for me, I personally, and this is how Candy Shaw taught me also, I personally like to make sure that I part it exactly where the client parts the hair, because it's so important that you know where you part their hair when you're painting, so that you can hit those spots. We'll call them the money spots. So that you can hit those spots. They're going to be really important to your client. If I were to part her off like a regular 5-section parting that a lot of people might do for a foil, I'm going to lose where her part line is. And so then when I go to paint, I don't know if I'm painting on her part line and what she's going to see or not. But if I go ahead and part it off where her part is, then I can make sure that I hit those spots. So I'm going to section it basically into 4 sections. So coming from her part, which is there, and then I'm going to come down to her tip of her ear, or actually just like right behind her ear. It is really important when you paint that you make sure that you get really clean sections, because if you have some of those little pieces hanging out there, they're going to bleed into your color and you're going to create a lot of bleeds, which nobody likes that, right? So then coming over the other side, same thing. Basically just behind the ear, right there. And I'm gonna make sure I get all those little hairs out of the way. And then you can either count this as one section, everything back here, which sometimes I do, or you can part it down the center for more control, which sometimes I do that too. When I have a preference, just whatever. So then it would be, you know, those two. But I'm just going to part her this way for right now. Okay, so I'm not going to paint her whole head for you. That's, I'm sure, not necessary. But I'll go through and show you just a couple key points. I'll take a break for a minute. I'll send a second video. I need to go get some cellophanes. I need to mix up my color and everything. So I'll send you a second video in a minute.